Hi, Matt.
Hi, Claire.
I'm Claire. You're Matt. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Haven't been talking to you much lately at all, so it's good to connect.
Not at
Face
all.
to face, face to face.
Not almost every day.
Thank you so much for being here and for doing this interview with me. I just kind of want to read your bio at the top here just so that folks know some of the work you do if they aren't already familiar with you. So Matt McWilliams has spent the past decade plus in online marketing, running affiliate programs and consulting for startups and brands such as Shutterfly, Reebok, and most recently for awesome entrepreneurs like Lewis Howes, Ray Edwards, Brian Tracy, and Jeff Goins. Matt's goal is simple: to teach you how to make money promoting other people's products and leveraging affiliates to make more money from your products. And yeah, so we were first introduced, I guess, a couple of years ago through this very work you do. I think you were at the time maybe working on a launch with, I don't even remember who it was with. And
Jeff Goins.
Okay.
I actually remember, yeah.
Okay.
And I remember because you were the famous at Claire. And I had followed you for a while before that. And I remember how I found you was through Eric Fisher, believe it or not. And he tweeted this at Claire person, like, this has to be an important person because her username is at Claire.
The wrong place at the wrong time, right?
That was how it started. That was how it started, was just like so many things. Wow. It started from seeing a random tweet one day.
Eric Fisher, man, that guy has connected me to a lot of folks. That's interesting.
Yeah, he lives like 45 minutes from me, believe it or not, which is strange because I think we're the only two online entrepreneurs in northern Indiana.
Right. He's in Fort Wayne and you're in, where are you?
I'm in Fort Wayne. He's in Marion.
Can't even remember. I see. Okay. Okay. So kind of talk to me about sort of your story. What got you here to this room with the white wall behind you and, working from home and dealing with broken water heaters while you manage these 7-figure launches for folks. Talk to me how
It's funny that you would say that because, like we were talking about earlier, my day today is wake up and wonder why we have no hot water. Try to fix it, which basically consists of me holding the iPad in one hand and spending at least 15 minutes in the basement so that my wife thinks I'm actually like that man who at least attempted to do stuff. And I'm looking at pictures going, nope, can't do that. Nope, can't do that. That would blow the house up. And then shortly after that, we get a call about the medical bill. And so it's like 11:30 before I even start working today. And, so some days, we're on the work by design. Some days work is not by design. Some days work is putting out fires for 3 hours first thing in the morning. To me, that's the great thing about entrepreneurship. We were joking the other day in one of my mastermind meetings that, the great thing about entrepreneurship is you get to choose your own bathroom breaks. And it's very important to somebody like me who likes that freedom and isn't really I've never been really, really good at being told what to do. And so, a lot of it really, I think the one story we were just talking beforehand that kind of sums up the Matt doesn't like to be told what to do is I'm one of the few people on the face of the earth who's ever been fired 4 times, twice by the same company and once by my own father. And I refer to myself as utterly unemployable. And I wear that as a badge of honor. Like, I finally realized, like, I kept fighting it. Matt, why are you not an entrepreneur? Like, why are you not doing this entrepreneur thing when you know that that's what you're supposed to be doing? And I fought that for years because I thought I was supposed to go down that career path. And it's hard to like leave a 6-figure job and then go do something that I had no guarantee of any money whatsoever. It's really hard. And so every time, though, I had somebody kind of push me out, like they forced me. And it was like someone was trying to tell me, okay, I'm going to get you out of this position. Go do this entrepreneur thing. I'll go find another job. Hey, I got a great job. And they fire me. And it's like, well, go do this entrepreneur thing. No, I'll go get another job. And I was here. I was 22 years old. This was the second of the 4 firings. And I was teaching golf. I grew up playing golf. I played professionally for a couple years after college, and I had an injury. I've still got the misaligned bones in my left wrist that if I were to play golf now would flare up and cause me problems all the way down to my right rib.
Wow.
That's how bad it was. And so I quit playing, but I started teaching, and I found out that I hated teaching golf. I was in a job that all the stuff, like, a guidance counselor would have told me to do this at that time, because here I was a well-known golfer, at least in my, my area. I had all the experience in the world playing high-level golf. Why should I not be a golf teacher? Well, the problem was I never had a desire to do that. I always wanted to play golf. I wanted to play professional golf. And my best friend and I growing up would joke, like, one of us said to the other, like, Matt, if I ever reach the point in life where I'm teaching old ladies, if I'm teaching old ladies in purple sweaters how to play golf, please kill me.
That's the moment.
We knew that would never happen. Well, fast forward, I'm 22, and I'm teaching these golf schools, and I'm trying to get more customers in. I'm only 22 years old, but I'm making pretty good money. But I'm like, man, if I can get more students in, I could be rolling in it, quite frankly. And that's what I cared about, because I wanted all the trappings of success back then, and I started doing AdWords, Google AdWords. And to put this into perspective, in 2010, 2002.
Okay.
I just said 2010. I meant 2002.
Okay.
2002, I could get a click for good keywords for 10 cents a click.
Amazing.
There was no opt-in. There was no sales funnel. You came to my webpage that was terrible, probably had an animated GIF image on it, and you either paid me $1,500 or you left for good.
Wow.
That was it. This is 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, 1 out of every 200 people would pay me $1,500. I had a 0.5% conversion. It cost me $20 to make a $1,500 sale. I'm selling 6 of these a week or more. I'm 22 years old, and it was this weird dichotomy, because I would get this thing and I'm like, yes, I made a sale. Crap, I got to teach this person how to play golf.
Wow.
And I kid you not, one day, shortly before we get to the climax of this story, this old lady, probably 70 years old, about 5 feet 2 inches tall, never played golf before, is wearing a lavender sweater.
Yep, there she is.
And she walks up to me, and I kind of take, like, on my half megapixel, flip phone back in 2002. I take a picture of her without her knowing it, and I texted my friend Hunter that we had shared that that disdain for. I texted him and I said, "Kill me now." And of course, like a good friend, he responded back with, "Ha ha ha, sucks to be you." And of course, that's what a good male friend does, right? And a good female friend puts their virtual arm around you and tells you, "I am so sorry. Can I pray for you?" But a good male friend laughs at you and tells you that sucks. And shortly thereafter, my dad fired me, and he probably should have fired me I worked for him for almost 2 years. He probably should have fired me about 1 year and 9 months sooner, because I was a terrible golf instructor. I hated going to work every day, and it showed. I wasn't nice to people. It's like the stereotypical person who's miserable in their job, and I take it out on everybody. That was me. And thank God he fired me.
Wow. So talk to me a little bit more about that. So why did your dad not say, "Hey, Matt, you're a bad golf instructor, but you have these other skills. Maybe we could try to wedge you into some new position we haven't even thought of, and you could sort of, half-ass your way towards that." Why didn't he let you do that?
I don't know. It's one of those things. My dad had a very unique personality. My aforementioned friend Hunter, we realized the other day we're old enough that we've been friends for a lot longer than we haven't been. We met as young teenagers, and we've been friends ever since. He's 37, I'm 36 now. So we were kind of reminiscing the other day, as we often do, and we were telling the particular story of the first golf lesson that he ever took from my dad. And if anybody who knows golf will appreciate this, normally when you get a golf instructor, the golf instructor gets in there and tries to give you a quick fix, and he tries to do something that makes you at least feel like you're accomplishing something by spending money with them. Mm-hmm. My dad, for 40 minutes, without saying a word, just watched Hunter hit golf balls. And I'm behind him. I'm laughing the whole time, because Hunter's getting more and more worked up. He's going faster. He's, he's taking up half the earth, and divots, every time he swings. He's getting frustrated. He's getting tired. Finally, my dad looks at him. He just kind of looks at him. He has got his arms crossed the entire time. This is my dad's position the entire time. Doesn't say a word. He's the most intimidating person I've ever known, without being big or imposing. And he looks at Hunter and he says, "We're going to have to call the superintendent and start charging you by the square foot." and then doesn't say another word. So to kind of put it into perspective, that was my father. He just was a very direct and intimidating guy, man of few words. And so for him, like, he just wasn't the type who would give me constructive feedback. He would kind of just like, he would occasionally say that didn't go well, or, you know, you need to be nicer to the customers. And then he would leave it at like, no, like, how can you do that? No, like, hey son, are you miserable? It was just, you need to be nicer to the customers. But he's my dad, so he kind of doesn't want me to be destitute either. And I think that's what he did. He let me earn enough money, because I did thankfully make a lot of money in that time because we were good at the marketing side. And then once I reached the point where I was like financially independent for the next 5 years, it was time to let me go. But enough people had complained about how miserable, like they could even tell that I didn't want to be there.
That's amazing.
You know, and yeah, but I love the marketing side, and that's why I'm in internet marketing today.
So your dad pushes you out, you know, on your butt. You've got some savings because you've been earning a lot. But then what do you do then?
Well, I went back home. I was actually still living with my mom at the time because I didn't really care about things like getting a house or an apartment on my own. I was like, it's free. So I went back to the house, got on the internet, and went down. Literally, I remember I went down and took the ads down and all that, because they were from my golf school, not my dad's. And but I needed a place to teach, and I was like, okay, I can either do this thing that I hate doing, and like, I mean, literally every day when I wake up, I dread going. If I'm supposed to be there at 8 o'clock, I got there at 7:59. Type thing, or I can find something else to do. And it took me about a month to really figure that out. I remember I went to the unemployment office and sat in the parking lot one day, and I just went, I'm like, I'd rather just not get the money. Like, that was just, there's nothing against that. It was just like, I can't do this. I cannot declare myself unemployed. It was just a mentality that I couldn't do, even though I haven't worked for a month. And thankfully, a guy reached out to me. He owned a local construction business, and he said, hey, I hear you do websites and marketing. Would you do some stuff for us? And I said, yeah. And I was kind of involved in the local political scene. And I had a local, like, state legislator reach out to me and say, hey, can you do some fundraising for me? Can you build a website for me? This is 2003, and if you follow politics at all, you know that was kind of the rise of Howard Dean and this internet. Like today, nobody would even think of, do you raise money online? Like, the local school board guy raises money online, right? And I had done that in 2002. I raised a couple $1,000s online running for school board, and so these people reached out to me and said, would you do this? Well, politics is a small world. Construction is a small world. If you do one and it's really good, it explodes. Next thing you know, I'm working for a dozen gubernatorial campaigns, a bunch of congressional campaigns, a lot of local campaigns, a lot of state senate, state legislative campaigns, and we're raising tens of thousands of dollars online when most people are raising literally $0 online.
Wow.
And I don't really remember how it happened. I just kind of woke up one day and went from sitting in the unemployment parking lot one day to 6 weeks later having so many clients that I just kind of, like we are now, I just started saying, no, I can't take on more clients. I'm working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the funny thing about politics, though, is the campaign ends. And when that ends, I go from having about 24 clients to no clients that. And then I had a few of those side businesses, or other businesses like the construction companies. And I had a couple of realtors that we started out with. And this is 2003. So keep in mind, a realtor website in 2003 compared to what you would get today with like the 360 tours and stuff, it's nothing like that. But we did their websites and did some of their marketing, and that's kind of how I got into this whole thing. And same kind of situation. I built up this huge thing, tons of money, but was completely overworked. And it kind of got to that point where I was like, okay, now I know I don't want to do that.
You don't want to be overworked, or that being that particular thing you didn't want to be doing?
Both. Very much both. I realized that, like, I got a lot of enjoyment, and I've done this numerous times. I got a lot of enjoyment out of building up companies. I got a lot of enjoyment from going from, like, I love the phase from like 2 employees to 10 employees so much. It's so fun. But that phase when, I mean, the next company I went to, we built it up, and I remember the day. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. This is 8 years ago now, almost to the day. And I'm walking down the hall. We built this company from above the garage, just the 3 of us, the 3 partners that started it, and 1 overseas developer. We built it from that to suddenly we have 52 people and, almost $18 million a year in revenue. And I remember walking down the hall, and I'm walking with a guy who ran one of our departments, and this lady walks by us, maybe 35, 40 years old, a little bit older than our average, but she didn't look like she didn't know what she was doing. Like, she looked like she belonged there, but I didn't recognize her. And I looked at him, I was like, who is that? And he tells me her name, and I was like, she works here? He's like, yeah, she works in the call center. And I looked at him like, we have a call center?
Wow.
And if you know anything about like building a business, usually when you're one of the first people, you're involved in every hire. Mm-hmm. And then you start reaching that point where you maybe hire somebody that you only met for like 10 minutes before they were hired. Mm-hmm. And we had reached that point where not only did we hire somebody that I never even met, she worked there for almost 2 weeks. I never saw her before. And she was working in a department that I didn't even know we existed. We had a 4-person call center that I was completely unaware of, because it was on the other side of the building. And so it was one of those things, like, I've been there too, and I found, okay, that's the other extreme of, like, I don't want to do that. I really like this, small business, 5 to 10 people, where I know everybody, and that's my comfort level. So it took me 15 years to figure this out, where I found like exactly what my sweet spot is.
So it sounds like what you did then is, so this company we're talking about where you've got all these employees and there's a call center you don't know about, you were successful there. You were winning awards there. You were doing well. So how did you leave? Yeah. How did you leave when you're doing well to go start something else that you don't know is going to go well?
Yeah, I got forced out. It had gotten to the point, I think, and again, this is, again, I was thankful, like, I started noticing this pattern after the fact. It got to the point where we didn't have that momentum, that like noticeable momentum. I remember the day we had our first $1,000 day, and we were all still virtual. Like, we were all working from our spots. We had our first $1,000 day, and we pumped up some KC and the Sunshine Band. And the CFO and I were like about 20 feet from each other, actually. So we went over and like we danced together, and we put we didn't have video calls back then that I know of. But we put, my friend on the phone, and we're like, woo, we're celebrating. I remember our first $2,000 day. I remember our first $10,000 week. I don't remember our first $10,000 day. I don't remember our first $50,000 week. I don't remember the first, $1 million month. I don't remember any of those milestones. It was like they just happened and didn't even. I mean, it's not that it wasn't a big deal. It's just like we had reached that point where we weren't celebrating things, and we reached that point where like the day to day was just getting to us, and we were arguing a lot more. It used to be that we could argue, we could battle, we could state our case, we could say we're going to talk about this for an hour, and at the end of an hour we're going to commit to a decision, and we're all going to support it. And it got to the point where, this shows a little bit of my immaturity back then, but I remember, getting into this knockdown, drag-out fight. And when I left our CFO's office, the door slamming and he's yelling at me from behind. He's 25 years older than me. I'm like this 27, 28-year-old punk, and he's in his early 50s. And he's yelling at me, and there's 40 people who are like, and they're all like, are we safe? And it had kind of reached that point. And then, ultimately I ended up leaving, really getting forced out. And then I won't tell too much of the story because you'll probably ask, but ended up back there just a few years later. And some other unfortunate stuff happened. But yeah, so that was kind of the genesis of me leaving, was just that tension that we had as we had lost our friendships. This was literally, we were sacrificing friendships for this business, and it wasn't healthy. We're not like, I'm not even that busy because I have a team now that I can delegate to at that time, but I'm not sleeping, I'm not getting the rest that I need. I still feel like I'm on all the time, even though I don't have to be. And it was not healthy for me.
So, okay, so tell us more about what you do today, because I'm really curious, sort of you learned all these lessons about what wasn't working and now what it's been like for you to build your team now, knowing these lessons and what you're doing differently. So I guess first, explain kind of what you do today and what your team kind of looks like, and then how you got there, realizing or knowing what you shouldn't replicate.
Well, I think it's important to say that, like, where I'm at today, I said earlier that if a high school guidance counselor probably would have told me to be a golf instructor. And if a high school guidance counselor had ever told me that, and that's why I got into that, I'd probably punch him. But, but if a high school guidance counselor even knew that what I do right now exists, he would tell me to do it, because what we do now is, we do work with some of the top entrepreneurs, including yourself, Claire, and we work with awesome people, helping them to build, run launches, run summits, and we work specifically on joint venture partners, JVs, or affiliate partners. Mm-hmm. And our business is essentially, in a way, contracted over the past couple of years. We went from this kind of general thing, working with big brands, working with publicly traded behemoths that annoy the living heck out of me, to here's our audience and here's what we're going to do for them. And if you want somebody to run your Facebook ads, we're not the company. You want somebody to design your landing page, we're not the company. Like, here's what we do, and I believe that we're the best in the world at it, so we're going to do it. Like, I can do Facebook ads. I'm actually halfway decent at running Facebook ads. I know how to do them, and I know the psychology behind them, and I can make you money. I'm just not even close to being the best in the world at it. So why would I want to do that? Why would I want to offer that as a service? I'll just recommend somebody who I know is better than me. Mm-hmm. And so we've really narrowed down. And so what we do, what an affiliate or a joint venture partner is at its core, think about, I'm speaking to the audience now, think about what products you know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. And now you want to recommend them to your audience. Right. Well, wouldn't you like to have some sort of financial reward for that? Mm-hmm. Well, that's what a JV or an affiliate partnership is. Again, at its, like, at the 30,000 foot flyover level, it's how can I make money promoting other people's products? And then the flip side, which is really what we do, is how can I have other people promote me? I'm going to share the wealth with them, so to speak. I'm going to reward them financially. And how can I find them? So we help people. There's the one side of our company that actually runs that stuff, for people. And then that we have the training side of our company where we train other people who can't they're not, like, in our niche. Maybe you're in health and fitness. Well, we're never going to run your affiliate launch. That's not our jam, as Amber Hurl used to say. Probably still does say, actually. But, that's not our thing. But you come to me, well, I'll train you how to do that, though. I'll show you how to do that. And so we do that. We also train affiliates on how to make more money as affiliates, especially new bloggers, people really building their platform. It's kind of like, well, I've got 500 subscribers. I've got 1,000, maybe even a few thousand. I've never really monetized my blog. What we say is, we'll help you make your first $10,000 online without ever creating a product, simply by promoting other people's stuff that already exists. And so that's what we do today, and that's been a process. Honestly, like I said, we used to work with some big brands, and I just discovered that the bureaucracy is not really my cup of tea. I don't do well with bureaucracy, and like I said earlier, I'm utterly unemployable. Well, working with big brands is about as close to being an employee as I can stand. And so we learned, but we had to learn that. We learned that even though we were having massive success, it's just like the golf schools. Like, we were helping, Shutterfly grow 50%. I mean, our worst year in our 3 or 4 years with them was 41% year-over-year growth. That was our worst year. But after about the first year, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Nothing against them. It's just not my style. And it's just like, I have nothing against old ladies in purple sweaters. I just don't want to teach them how to play golf.
So what do you say to, so you work with folks and you say, we can help, you make, and these aren't people you're working with one-on-one, obviously, but you work sort of to provide content to help people make their first $10,000 online, say, right? So my question is, if you're talking to an entrepreneur that is kind of at the stage where they are starting to kind of build team members around them, either contractors or full-time people, what are kind of some key lessons that you think you've seen over the years that kind of that are important to remember when you talk about sort of building nimble teams that don't, that work essentially?
I think the biggest thing that I learned in 2007. In 2007, I would define myself as a control freak.
Okay.
And my attitude was, I can do this better than everybody on my team. And the reality is that 9 times out of 10, I could. Why? Because I've been at the company for 3 years. I was one of the people who started it. I actually, I'm one of the 3 executives, and we're paying this person $38,000 a year. What would my expectation be? But and so while factually correct that I could do this project, or I could write this email better than they could, I had to realize that having something done 90 or 95% as well as I could do it, and not having me have to be involved, was a big win for me. Yeah. And so, I remember I'll use Mark, who is you've talked to every day right now. I'll use him as an example. When he first started, more than a year ago.
So just to clarify, so Mark Sieverkopf is one of the folks on your team.
Yes. To kind of use him as an example, and I would say that if you go back like 7-8 years, I was not like this, but I evolved into this position. He told me 45 days after he started, he's like, Lacey, his wife, he was like, Lacey and I were talking last night, and I can't believe the amount of trust you put in me. Like, I'm brand new. And he said, nobody's ever done that before. Nobody's ever just, he would ask me a question and I'd say, do what you think is right. Do what you think is best. And he's like, but I'm scared to. I'm like, no, do what you think is best. If you do it wrong, we'll fix it. So my attitude has been, I encourage people who work for me to shoot first and apologize later.
Wow.
Now there are occasional times where I say, hey, run that by me first, because it's for a specific reason, Yeah. But it's that attitude of you're going to get if you're not hiring somebody that's smart enough to get it right 9 times out of 10, then you've hired the wrong person. This isn't a process problem. This is a personnel problem.
Yeah.
And so, okay, here's the thing. A couple of things are true. 1, they're going to get it right 9 times out of 10 already. 2 or 3 times out of 10, they're actually going to do it better than I would have. Or they're going to come up with a new way of doing something, because I'm in my box. Whether you know it or not, you're in a box. Some people's boxes are bigger than others. Some people's boxes have holes. Some people's have no ventilation, but you're in a box because you only have your life experiences to go on.
Right.
And anybody who's ever read a book 10 years later and gotten new stuff out of it, you were in a box because you were in a different job. You were in a different part of life. You go read Essentialism when you don't have kids, and read it when you do have kids, and the book takes on new meaning.
Yep,
okay?
It does.
So we all have the box. So sometimes they're going to do stuff better, or they're going to come up with a piece of it that's better, or they're going to invent something new. They're going to have a suggestion for a way to automate something, or whatever it is. And then the third thing is, I realize that it is almost impossible for somebody that works with me to make a mistake that is so bad that it is fatal to my business. In fact, it has never once happened in my entire life. I've been in business for 15 years now, and nobody's ever made a mistake that cost me more than $10,000.
No one's blown it up yet.
I ran an $18 million company, and the biggest mistake was probably right around $10,000. That's not even a line item in a spreadsheet, within a spreadsheet. It's nothing. And so I know what that's like, though, because I would get on our customer service people because they would say something wrong. And I'm like, damn, that cost us $300. And I know when you only have $8,000 in the bank, because trust me, I've been there. I've been down to our last $3,000. I know that $800 is a big deal, but still, I still got $2,200. It's not fatal. So I think when you realize those 3 things, then it frees you up to just say, you know what, I trust you. And so the process that we go through is, initially it's I tell you a little bit of our philosophy. I don't tell you tactical how to do stuff, other than how do you run this report? Yes, I'm going to give you a click by click, synopsis. But as far as decision making, I tell you how I would do it, and then I kind of back off. That's a very short period of time. We're talking weeks. From there, we go through this phase where it's for a couple of weeks where it's, you make the decision and tell me what you've decided, and then go do it. The next step is you tell me what you basically make the decision, you do it, and tell me what you did. And then eventually we get to the point where it's you don't even have to tell me what you did. But I guess for me, rather than that being a 2-year process like it is for some people, it's about a 2-month process. We get very quickly to that point where you don't even have to tell me what you did.
That's amazing. I mean, I just love this idea that sort of investing incredible trust in people can help you build like an autonomous team really quickly. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's that freedom we talk about, because I know right now, I don't want to exaggerate, so I'll say I knew 4 months into me having Mark on our team that, well, actually, I'll put in real percent. He started 45 days or 60 days before Tara gave birth to our son. And for the week or so after he was born, he was on his own. Mm-hmm. And he didn't text me or Slack me or email me. Mm-hmm. I think he did one time, like 3 days after he was born. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he left me alone because he knew that, because I trusted him, and I told him that. I'm like, dude, you're on your own. And he was like, okay, that's a little scary, but I'm like, you're going to be fine. Things are going to be great. And it was great.
Matt, can you tell folks kind of what you're really focused on right now and where people can come find you?
Yeah. I mean, right now we're focused on, we're in the season of mastery. Well, actually, we're actually in the season of systems. When we really got things going last year, I didn't want to get too systematized. I didn't want to go into like massive, growth right away. I said, here's our 3 seasons that we're going to go through over the next, year to 18 months. We're going to go through mastery, which mastery is basically we're going to do a bunch of things and we're going to see what works. I think we may be the best in the world at what we do at that time, but you know what? We can probably change a lot of things. We can probably discover some stuff. So it's like we're going to try some stuff and some stuff's not going to work. As Seth Godin says, this might not work, but we're going to do it anyway. Yeah. And we're super fortunate to work with clients where I've gone to them and said, hey, here's an idea. And they've gone, that's a really good idea. And I've said, yeah, but it might break something, right? And yeah, it might. Do it anyway. Okay, cool. And so we tried a bunch of stuff. Some stuff didn't work. A lot of it did. We went through this season of mastery. Then we went through this season of growth, which was just, essentially we went into kind of rapid growth mode. And now we're in this season of we're past rapid growth mode. And it's like, okay, let's systematize stuff. And what we mean by that is like, okay, here's when we're doing stuff and we're pretty consistently doing that. Here's how we're doing it. A year ago, we didn't have a playbook. The playbook was all up here. Sometimes it wasn't even up here. Sometimes it was just like, I'm in the shower and I think of something. But now it's all in a playbook. We have these playbooks that we've put together and they're still a work in progress. They're always going to be a work in progress because something's going to change 7 minutes from now. But yeah, that's the season we're in now. We're just really focused on this systemization, and I really want to get it to the point. I don't necessarily think that I plan on hiring any monkeys, but I would like it to get to the point where I could train a monkey how to do what we do, at least from a system standpoint.
Monkeys are useful. Mm-hmm.
And then I did hire one. That's Mark, because I know he's going to watch this. Sorry, he knows I'm just kidding. And, as far as where people can find me, I've actually got a really cool, because we haven't talked a ton about it, but we've talked a little bit about this idea of being an affiliate and promoting stuff and maximizing that income, but also finding affiliates. And so if you go to mattmcwilliams.com/WBDS, then I've got 2 resources there, whichever side you're on or both sides, you can get both. I've got a free report on where to find affiliates, and I've got a free report on how to maximize your income as an affiliate. And these aren't like 2-page reports either. They're very in-depth, but also easy to follow. So again, mattmcwilliams.com/WBDS, or you can text WBD Summit to 33444.
Wow, the texting thing sounds very fancy.
It is.
Wow. Okay, this has been great. Thank you so much, Matt. And I will talk to you probably in like half an hour about something else.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.